What's cracking with it, baby? Welcome back to week 15's episode of Don't Take Us Seriously podcast. It's your boy O.
It's DJ.
And we had some interesting stuff, right? We had to peep our folks write up some fancy shit, right? But we not running with that this time. I'm gonna take an opportunity here, because this is I want to say the second time consecutively, maybe third consecutive time.
Third.
DJ.
Go ahead.
The third time that my good friend here, my joint host here, has had to eat his own foot.
Foreign foot,
by the way. We'll pan to this fancy video of his tomfoolery.
On the season, when it's gotta have it games, they pee down their leg. Yes, Detroit, they're Detroit. It's still Jared Goff, and it's still Dan Campbell. It's Mr. Oh yeah, like he's gonna be like oh yeah himself right all the way back to going fishing, because they not about to make it, and they about to be going fishing, big dog. They not about to make this work. They gonna be out there like this. They not gonna be in them playoffs. They gonna have to go ahead and enjoy the going as they can, because right now it ain't gonna work. All right, so you get it. All right, you saw what I said about the Lions, but let me tell you a little something. When I was thinking what was going to happen with this whole Lions debacle was, have you heard of the Liver King? I just told you about him off camera, so go ahead and nod your head, say yes, that you've heard of him now. Okay, so what I was thinking was that, with the Liver King, for the viewers out there that don't know who he is, let me explain this to you. So Liver King was an Instagram guy that went viral, had all this sensation going on, and he got popular. He made like 1 million followers in a little under a year. It was a crazy little thing that ended up happening, and he was eating liver on camera, like raw liver, and then saying like, oh yeah, I live a primal ancestral living lifestyle, and this is why I'm getting the results that I'm getting. And he was just the latest and greatest hack that had hit the market. But people were believing it, and they were really thinking that it was real and it was true. Well, lo and behold, guess what happens to charlatans? Give them enough time, they gonna get found out. They found out that he was taking steroids. Surprise, surprise. So he had this crazy fit body, and everybody thought that he was this crazy dude that had cracked the code and was making everything happen. So I know you're thinking right now, but let me go ahead and tie this together for you. I was thinking that Dan Campbell was that, with his little bits. I was thinking that with the kneecap biting and the motivational speaks, talks and all this type of deal, and he was just making it all sound so good and rah, rah, rah. And, I'm the guy, and we're going to get it done, and I'm one of the boys and everything. I was like, man, this ain't going to work. This is hacky. Like, this is just another thing that's hitting the market, that's sweeping the streets. But you know what? I was wrong, because it looks like this man was just over here collecting infinity stones like Thanos, adding Jameson Williams, Jamal Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was just over here Aiden Hutchinson through the draft. Like, he was just out here just adding pieces, and lo and behold, the team is real. So, hey, I was a little off. It happens. What you got to say?
A little?
Well, you didn't like my back?
A little? If I remember correctly, you chose the Green Bay Packers as your NFC sleeper.
I did.
Correct, right?
Did.
The same Green Bay Packers that's sitting behind the Detroit. Now, granted, I'll give you this. 3 weeks ago, was I hooting and hollering for the Patriots, packing the Lions up and rolling that Lion pack? Absolutely.
Put yourself on the grill. Go ahead, please.
Man, that's what I'm supposed to do. When my boys is rolling, they rolling. And I'm supposed to ride that train. But at the same time, 2 weeks ago, when you told me that Mr. Ayahuasca was going to lead them boys to the promised land, I recall distinctly telling you, damn, bro, ain't they still sitting behind the Lions? And look at this 2 weeks later, the same team that you said wasn't worth a damn, still doing what they doing. And wait, there's more, because last I checked, right? So the same team that you told me didn't have a shot in hell or never had a chance. This is the same team that, yeah, okay, they started 1-6, but let's look at those games, right? The number one team in the NFL currently, Philly, they lost to them 38-35 week 1. They beat Washington week 2, 36-27. Lost to Minnesota by 4 week 3. Beat Seattle, who was hot in the first half of the season. Sorry, lost to Seattle by 3. Okay, boom. Got squashed by New England, right?
Mm.
Got by Dallas, even though the score number doesn't actually tell the story of the Dallas game.
Yeah.
Lost to Miami by 4 points. Beat Green Bay, the same team that you said was going to hold them boys down. Beat Chicago, destroyed New York, lost to Buffalo when they should have won the game, but we're not going to talk about that one. Destroyed your other sleeper in Jacksonville and then beat Minnesota last week and held a 10-point lead most of the game. And the rest of their schedule looks like cakewalk.
So
But
let me just tell you this. Let me just tell you this though. What did I say last week? Bad teams find a way to lose to teams that they should beat. That's what bad teams do. They were a bad team back then. They were. They were learning how to become a good team, and now.
But that doesn't make a bad team. When you're a team with nothing but youth,
You are what your record says you are.
but that's not necessarily valid though. I get what you're saying, but see, guess what? The last time you made a statement like that, you had to walk that shit back too.
Hey,
The last time you made a statement, the last time you made a statement like that, you said good quarterbacks are determined by their wins and losses, and Kirk had 10 of them bitches, and you had to walk that shit back.
which I still stand on. I still don't think that their team is that good or that he's that great. But that's a whole nother thing. But don't get me down that path. I'm trying to stay on topic here.
Terry.
Put it in reverse, Terry. Put it in reverse. But anyway, all I'm saying is that if you thought that I was going to be able to predict that after all these years, Detroit was hiring either good coaches and letting them go too early because it wasn't up to their standard, or that they were just turning around and hiring Matt Patricia's and then getting Patriots, transplant GMs and then trying to make something work, and it just fuddles around and they end up losing it and they lose all their talent. If you really predicted and thought that wasn't going to happen this time in terms of them just finding a way to make it, fall apart, I can't predict that he's going to build a good stable of coaches. Their defense was the worst in the league earlier in the season, and everyone thought they were going to fire the DC. They didn't. They made the smart choice. They kept it in house and they figured it out. Now it's not great, but it's better than it was.
But guess what? We knew the talent was there. It just had to mesh. They literally, their whole, this is the same. I distinctly remember us having a conversation about 3 or 4 years ago, me and you, about how many first and second round draft picks that they spent on a defensive line or filling out linebacker positions, right? Now it's just coming into fruition. They're playing team football. They're getting the system. They're meshing. They're gelling. The system is setting in. This is what happens when you have a team full of young, youthful talent with not many veteran leaders. And now you have Dan Campbell, who you thought was a snake oil salesman, out here doing what he's supposed to do. Offense is prolific, loaded with talent. Defense is solid, well-rounded football. Are they making these games dirty? Absolutely. But they're
scoring a lot of points.
They're doing what they're supposed to do, though. They're learning how to win, learning how to play effective football consistently.
I mean, and to give them some credit, when they were 1-6 earlier in the season, they never gave up. They would fight in these games and they would always make them tough. Even in that Patriots game, even though they got stomped out, they really got stomped out because they were stupid. They were going for it on fourth downs early and often in the game, not taking field goals when it was there available. They were trying to pace themselves in a game style that they just didn't have to. But now it's like they found a way. They found their stride. They figured out what they're doing. Aiden Hutchinson's coming alive. Their defense is making plays enough, at times just to keep the offense on the field. And Jared Goff's good enough. He's not that great. He's probably not going to be there next year.
He's just a bridge. We understand that though. But to counter that, Dan Campbell has already committed to Jared Goff next year.
I mean, sure, for one more year, sure, but that doesn't mean you can't draft a guy in the first round.
For sure. I'm not disagreeing with that. And on top of that, bro, the draft capital that they have in getting rid of Matthew Stafford and getting rid of TJ Hawkinson, they set up for success, bro.
Yeah, I mean, they really are. I mean, especially when you look at the roster, I kind of mentioned a couple of them earlier, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who they got as a lottery pick, DJ Sharp, they got from the Jags. They got Reynolds, the wide receiver. They're pretty loaded in the receiver room. And when you look at the running backs, they still got Swift and Jamal Williams.
And James Williams being back off injury. Ooh-wee. 1 catch, 1 touchdown.
First catch. Yeah. So it's all shaping up for him. But what I will say, though, is even if you look the last few weeks with the Jags, I know you was talking about earlier a little bit more. If you look at the last few weeks, and I know you're going to hate me saying this, but the last 2 weeks, they played the Jags. I know you was talking your mess about the Jags a little bit, but Jags are a real team. And that's a rising team right now. Like it's a potential playoff caliber team right now. Yeah. So the Jags, they go ahead, they blow them out. So that just gives them more credibility. And because we know how good the Jags are, because then they went and turned around and beat the Ravens the very next week. So, and that's another playoff team. So
it ain't saying much.
Why you gotta hate on my Ravens? This not even about that right now.
I'm just saying. You giving them a pat on the you giving them an unwarranted pat on the back. Slow down there, Chief.
Wow. But you know what? Then I will also say to what she was talking about me earlier, they did go and they beat Aaron Rodgers twice, which is not easy to do. No matter what the month is, no matter how cold it is or how warm it is, it's not easy to beat Aaron Rodgers in the regular season. So I'll give them credit for that. They went up to Lambeau, they beat them, then they came back to Detroit and they go ahead and beat them again. So they beat that bud twice. So it just makes a lot of sense that this team, they're not peaking, but they're learning how to win, how to be a real team at the right time. So that makes them dangerous because there's still the Niners, there's still the Eagles, there's still the Vikings, they're still in the NFC. So they're not really going to make no noise. But if you give a team like this confidence with youth and they don't know that they're not that good, they might upset a team here or there in the playoffs. It's very, very possible.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. If Detroit make it, they're gonna make it hard for whoever they see in the first round. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're gonna win. I'm not making no promises. I just think they might fuck around and give somebody a run for their money.
It's very possible, yeah. If they get the right matchup, they very well could upset them in the playoffs if they make it in.
Seeing as Detroit is going to make it, Green Bay's not. Just saying.
All right. Just remember, Green Bay it has a mathematical shot. So my deep sleeper pick is not dead yet.
That's with Detroit out the picture.
Yeah, that's very possible. And you know what? Speaking of which, how about your Atlanta Falcons? The whole Mariota debacle with Desmond Ridder. Yeah, you thought I forgot. So another thing that I will mention though, in terms of Dan Campbell, just to bring it back, his coaching decisions. All this time, just to give you another analogy, I thought for all you moviegoers out there, I thought that Dan Campbell was over here making decisions like another X-Men movie, like the Dark Phoenix. Everybody had high aspirations for it. They thought it was going to be good. It was a huge budget to it, and then turn around, it flopped terribly. It sucked. Nobody liked it. Didn't make sense. Everybody wants the X-Men to be revamped completely. They're like, I'm tired of this. Get it right. I thought that's what Dan Campbell was. Lo and behold, this man was making Avatar. This man was in the lab cooking up some heat. I did not envision this from brother Kneecap Biter over here. I thought he was making it crap, and he was not about that. He was making everything happen.
Man, he turning shit into diamonds, bro.
Yeah, he was shining bright like a diamond. That's all right. But I will say though, with this talent acquisition that they got at every position, Jared Goff, I know we mentioned briefly about him, but even though we know he's on the hook for next year, what does that mean though if they draft a quarterback? Because nobody really loves this quarterback class that much so far. They're still going to hype it up and all that, this, that, and the third. But
I think it's Jared Goff's job to lose. I think if the offense keeps firing, you don't fix what ain't broke. And that defense only going to get better. Like I said, we've spoken numerous times about the level of talent available. All they're going to do is keep adding to it. So with that being said, I think their defense has 2 years. I think they could pan out top 15-ish, top 10-ish.
Okay. Now, what I will say though is, even though you spoke briefly about the draft capital with this Lions team, they're still reaping the benefits of trading Stafford, and they're still going to be able to reap the benefits of trading Hutchinson. So you make those trades, you got Jared Goff sitting in. Yeah, you're going to owe him a little bit of money for, this year, next year, then you can do what you want with him after that. But the fact that you've got a stable bridge quarterback, you've got some real legitimate draft capital, I mean, man, they got a real shot here. Like they're in one of those windows, kind of like the Eagles were in back in, I think that was, I don't know why I want to say 2016, but whatever it was when the Eagles made their run with Carson Wentz and turned out to be Nick Foles and
Yeah,
everything.
where they got all their talented dudes still on their rookie deals and
Yeah.
don't pay nobody and have the cap space to bring in veteran talent if they want to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Seahawks did it too with Russell and Sherman and all them boys. Like they're able to do that too. They're in that same kind of window. So if they can strike gold on a quarterback this upcoming year, because for example's sake, this
Honestly,
often
I don't even think they need to strike gold on the quarterback. I think they just need to find their guy, a guy that fits their system.
that's
They don't
fair.
even have to strike gold really, because to be 100 with you, bro, as much as I despise Jared Goff, if Jimmy G good enough to take you to a Super Bowl, what that guy? Shit, I'm just saying.
I would disagree with you if this were the AFC, but with the fact that there aren't as many standout great young quarterbacks in the NFC, you got a point. It's a little hard to argue it. What is interesting though is they're already a top 5 offense in a lot of categories. Like right now with Jared Goff, and this is his first year in this system. So who knows? Maybe there's a little bit more. Maybe there's a little bit more juice they can squeeze from this lemon after all. Because hey, Jared Goff, maybe he can't read defenses all like that. He still has pre-snap issues. That's why the Patriots is able to spank on him. But at the same time, if you could make things simple, maybe they can make some noise. They get a couple skill position guys more in there that can just really make this thing really go, and this defense turns over, and they can just be middle of the pack. This team could be strong, man.
Hey man, it's so music to my ears hearing you defend my point for me.
Okay.
Ooh, wait.
All right.
It's so nice being right. You wouldn't know the feeling now.
Okay. All right. Well, let me back it up just a little bit then, because it's a little bit too happy-go-lucky over here. Because I'm also not gonna sit here and because now you're getting too comfortable. You're getting you're getting too high on your throne. So let me go ahead and make you watch the throne from a lower position. Because all I'm saying is that I can't predict that the GM is not going to be incompetent because like what we saw on draft night with the Titans, what did John Robinson do to Mike Vrabel? He turned around
Man,
and he traded AJ Brown and he didn't know what to think. It's like, oh, we're just gonna, and the GM's like, oh, we're just gonna get Treylon Burks and you insert here, plug here, and then look at the Eagles now. Now they're a Super Bowl contender because you add a top 10 wide receiver on your roster that's already stacked.
agreed. I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I will say is Treylon Burks is slowly starting to find his way.
He ain't AJ Brown. That's all I'm saying. He's good. He's not AJ Brown.
AJ Brown don't even beat AJ Brown on some Sundays, bro.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. All right. You just remember that because this is coming. I'm not actually no. I'm not getting into Treylon Burks. All I'm gonna say is the Lions have always been known to do the wrong thing. What can go wrong will go wrong. We're from Ohio. We've seen it with the Browns. The Lions, they used to mirror the Browns in decision making from time to time, from coaching, from court. I won't say quarterbacks, but from coaching, from GM moves, from head coaching decisions. Like they would just find ways to just Murphy's Law to always flip on tails and then being the loser in the scenario. So that's all I'm getting at. But it's looking like better days.
It is. It looked like the tide has finally turned for them boys. But with that, that's the end of this segment.
Real quick.
Oh, what you got to say now?
Have one strong, good thing to say about the Lions because this is not me burying the hatch, but this is me saying, and I'll admit when I'm wrong. I will. So I have a well thought out speech here. It's short. We congratulate Detroit that they have recovered from that disaster, cleaned house, and moved past to be able to become a team that is feared by others in a little over a year. It is highly impressive. Well done, Detroit. You deserve a winner, and it looks like you're getting one. And that is from me to you. Take it away, Al.
And with that, boys and ladies, we appreciate having y'all for this segment of our Week 15 podcast. It's your boy O.
This is DJ.